We're nearing the end of this series, and it's hard to believe how quickly our walks go by. We've walked through what comes first to God, learnt to trust Jehovah, see His faithful provisions, and how to start aligning to His will. Today, we're anchoring our obedience to God, because the only way we can do that is by being intentional and building our way of life around Him. But what happens when we don't put God first in our lives? The book of Haggai gives a powerful warning about the consequences of putting everything else before God. Let's take a walk in his dusty sandals. In Haggai chapter 1, the Israelites had returned from exile in Babylon. God had commanded them to rebuild his temple, but instead, let's zoom in to what they prioritized. They focused on building their own houses and pursuing their own comfort. They wanted their self-made prosperity and security before they prioritized God's work. And what happened? Haggai 1:6 shows us what God told them.
Haggai 1:6. You have planted much, but harvested little. You eat, but never have enough. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it.
Does this sound familiar? You work hard, but your money never seems to be enough. You chase after success, yet you still feel empty. You achieve your goals, but you're still searching for more. God was showing them a hard truth. When you put everything else first and leave God out, nothing will satisfy you. This world constantly tells us that something else deserves first place. For some, it's money. For others, success, comfort, security, approval, achievement, or simply the pressure of everyday life. Satan has filled this system with competing priorities, each one quietly inviting us to place something ahead of Jehovah. Yet anxiety is not reserved for the wealthy, nor is peace guaranteed by having less. Whether we have much or little, notice Jesus was inviting everyone to examine what comes first in their heart. Solomon, one of the richest, most successful kings in history, tried everything this world had to offer. He built palaces, gathered wealth, pursued pleasures, and gained more wisdom than anyone before him. And yet, at the end of it all, he wrote, "Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless." Ecclesiastes 1:2. Why? Because without God at our center, nothing truly satisfies. Jesus warned about this same danger in Luke 12:16-21, when he told the parable of the rich fool. A man stored up so much wealth that he thought he could finally relax and enjoy life. But that very night he died, and all his riches meant nothing. Jesus ended the parable with these chilling words.
This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. Luke 12:21.
Seeking everything else first may give temporary success and happiness, but in the end, it leads to spiritual poverty and even makes us lose sight of our godly hope and promise from Jehovah for life on earth forever. Highlighted in Psalm 37:29. Why would we risk that wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime gift from our loving God? Another danger of seeking everything else first is that it leads to constant worry. Jesus said at Matthew 6:25, "Come, let's read that together."
Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear.
Why did Jesus say this right before telling us to seek first the kingdom? Because worry is a sign that we don't fully trust God. Jesus asked, "Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life?" Matthew 6:27. Of course not. Acute worry doesn't fix problems. It only steals your peace. But peace never comes from external things. It comes from trusting God. Isaiah 26:3 says,
You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you.
Let's circle back to Haggai. After God rebuked the Israelites for putting their own desires before Him, they listened and repented. They stopped chasing their own plans and focused on rebuilding the temple, putting God first again. And what happened? God blessed them, and He told them, "From this day on, I will bless you." Haggai 2:19. Why? Because when we seek God first, He takes care of everything else. The same thing happened in Matthew 6:33. Jesus promised, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Women, you seeing the pattern? Jehovah our God knows what you need, and when you put His kingdom first, He takes care of the rest, not just financially or materially, but in every corner of your life. Instead of worry, you'll have peace. You'll experience His provision, and you'll find true purpose. So ask yourself today, am I trusting in my own strength instead of God's provision? Because the danger of seeking everything else first is not just frustration in this life. It's missing out on the fullness of what God has for you. But when you put Him first, you'll find something the world can never give you: a life of purpose, real inner peace and fulfillment that only comes from seeking God above all else. Something incredible happens when you truly begin living Matthew 6:33. I know this because I've experienced it myself. For many years, I chased the next opportunity, climbed the career ladder, and measured progress by the world's definition of success. But over time, Jehovah patiently taught me to put His kingdom first, not just in what I believed, but in how I lived. Then came the year I was retrenched. By the world's standards, that should have been the moment everything fell apart. Instead, it was as though scales fell from my eyes. I saw that Jehovah had never been asking me to give up my future. He was inviting me into His. It's not just about religious discipline or spiritual habits. It's about stepping into a completely different way of living. When Jehovah becomes your first priority, life doesn't just change a little, it changes completely. Many of us hesitate to fully surrender everything to Jehovah because we fear losing control. We wonder, if I truly seek Jehovah first, will I have to give up my dreams? What if I end up with less instead of more? Living Matthew 6:33 doesn't mean we will always have more by the world's measure. It means we will never walk alone, never fall outside Jehovah's loving care, and never have to carry tomorrow by ourselves. That is the security this world can never offer. So, my dear sister, what if today was the day you made Matthew 6:33 your own? Not just a verse you've read, but a life you've chosen. Because this was never about losing your dreams. It has always been about gaining Jehovah's purpose. Every time you choose His kingdom first, you are saying, Jehovah, I trust your way more than my own. I trust the future you have promised more than the one this world is offering. And why do we live this way? Because God's kingdom is not just an idea, it is our future. It is the government Jesus taught us to pray for at Matthew 6, 9 and 10. It is the answer to every tear, every injustice, every fear, and every loss. Every choice to seek the kingdom first is a step toward the world Jehovah has promised. A world where His will is done on earth as it is in heaven. There is no better future to build your life around. Go soak in Revelation 21, 1-5, to remind yourself of that. Okay, it's time for your mirror moment. This week, I'd like to invite you to do something a little different. Instead of reaching for your faith diary, reach for a colouring page. If you don't have a colouring book yet, perhaps this is the week to gift yourself one. Not because the colouring is important, but because sometimes our hands need something quiet to do, so our hearts can become still before Jehovah. You don't have to finish the page. There is no goal, no deadline. Just create a little space where the noise of this world grows quieter. Then, as you colour, listen to this series again. Let each episode wash over you slowly. Don't rush through it. Listen for what Jehovah may be drawing your attention to. And when you've finished, listen to Revelation 21, 1-5 being read aloud. Listen to Jehovah's promises spoken while your hands are quietly colouring. Listen to the future Jesus taught us to pray for. Then don't rush away. Sit quietly. Let those words settle into your heart. Imagine that world. Meditate on it. Let your hope become more real than your worries. Because every time we choose to seek the kingdom first, we are choosing the future Jehovah has promised over the temporary promises of this world. And here is where we pause for today. See you next Monday.